get really close, you can see little tiny fibers running between everything. Welcome back to 240Z episode number 2. The last episode, we welded in all the new metal patch panels for all of our rusty floors and stuff like that. Now that the body is all set and good, we're gonna go ahead and start making some of the carbon panels. First one up is gonna be the 240Z roof. You've seen us do this before, but we're gonna try it this time with a new and improved bit of material. But carbon fiber.
Look at that 12K, I know it's crazy.
Yeah, there's like 30 yards of it, so. What is this new stabilized carbon fiber? Why would you want it? Who, what, where, when, why? So this is our very first time ever using this. Fiberglass just came out with this. And the main difference between this and a regular like 3K carbon fiber, because this is still a 3K 2x2 12 like we use on all of our stuff. So the difference is, other than it's got this nice little cling wrap stuff, you get really close, you can see little tiny fibers running between everything, which should not show up in the part. But the cool part about this is gonna keep the first layer that you set down there from warping and doing anything weird. So you can have a perfect first layer, especially if you're gonna keep your like panel carbon, which most people are if they're gonna build a carbon part. You won't have any weird warping or like snags or runs or pulls in your first layer that you're gonna see. So what we're gonna do here is use this on our very first layer. Like I said, this is our first time trying it out, so we'll see how it goes, but we use this first layer, and then the rest of the layers we're just gonna do as normal. You've seen us make a 240Z roof a couple times now, but this is the first time trying this out, so I'm excited to see what this new product can do. So one thing I do not know about this carbon is if we can pull strands out of it. Should be safe. I'm just gonna cut straight through without doing the regular pull method. It seems like that shouldn't matter too much because, like we said, like normal carbon would start fraying if I started doing that, so I think we're okay. Oh, I'm using this. Use this thing.
Damn, the switch up crazy.
Whoa. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, definitely way to go.
Cool. So, like I said, we have this first layer of this new carbon, and then we're going to run one layer of the 3K, one layer of, well, so that's our second layer of 3K, another layer of 12K, followed by the regular blue peel ply, and then bleeder, and then finally the vacuum bag. Just gonna mix up resin, and we already pre-cut everything, so we're ready to go.
Definitely work smarter.
So let me get some gloves. This is of like the most dramatic scenes in Dragon Ball Z, and they would put like this Linkin Park song to it in the background. Every time it's the same Linkin Park song.
They're probably like, damn.
Well, it's either this one or that one with Jay-Z or something. I don't remember exactly, but like.
Oh damn, I forgot.
Remember that song?
Yeah, Jay-Z
Linkin
did
Park
a
and Jay-Z.
yep.
Yeah, dude, that was all of these YouTube mixes is so funny. I was looking, probably middle school, I guess. Like usual, using System 2000 with the 60-minute cure hardener. So you have a 60-minute pot life, 2060. This is what I prefer. There's also 120-minute and 25-minute, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I find this one to be the best. It doesn't usually take me more than an hour to lay up most of our molds. You buy it in the 5-gallon jug. It's got this cool pour spout. Cool. So I like to I think this is 3-to-1 with this. Yes. So it's 3-to-1 by volume. So I have this little stick that I pre-marked these things on. So I put 2 little dots inside of my cups. So while I'm mixing, well, while I'm like laying everything up, I'll pour 1 to that little thing, mix it up, and I'll leave these without hardener in them. And then as I need them, I'll pour hardener into it, but I don't want to have to remeasure every single time.
Okay. Boop.
And remember, stir for at least a minute. If you don't, you will have problems.
How you know?
Because I've had problems. Gotta stay consistent. Oh, and I also want to mention when we lay this first layer of carbon up, we're gonna lay it with the veil side up. So the side that actually faces out on the mold will be the other side. You shouldn't see this once it's already wet out, but just in case, put the veil side up so it's not facing everything else. So yeah, so I'm gonna wet this out first. We already have all of the, you know, the PVA and the wax and stuff like that down, and then we've sprayed clear gel coat in here. I did that yesterday though. I like letting the gel coat sit for longer. You can technically, you know, an hour after spraying it, get right into making your part, but it's extra sticky. It takes a long time for it to feel like fully cure. So I like letting it sit a little longer because then it won't grab your carbon. But also with this new carbon, it shouldn't really matter as much because even if it grabs it, it's not going to mess up the weave, which is my thing. So who knows? Just so used to doing it that one way to avoid having problems. Now that I have a, you know, carbon that should just mitigate those problems anyways.
Should be even a more fail-proof method.
Exactly. And I've made, I don't even know, it's probably like my 10th roof I've made now for Z's. We do sell these if you want your own 240Z roof on industrygarage.com. If you want to support your boys. We also have sick merch. Get some Street Bandito tees. industrygarage.com.
Yes.
You could technically set the carbon right down on the gel coat without putting this first layer of resin down, and it would actually help with not getting hairs. I did do the method that someone commented back in the day, told us about using super glue on the base of the brush. But as you can see, I just pulled a hair out of here. I do find that this laying the resin down first helps with any voids and corners. If you want to completely mitigate that stuff though, pre-preg is the way to go. But when I made this mold, I was not ready to do pre-preg, and we did not have that beautiful oven 2000.
Maximus.
Yes. Which I now have used a couple times, and I will say it is awesome.
Is it everything you dreamed of?
It is. It's a complete game changer. So now we can do, you will see, the next part that we make for this Z is going to be the quarter panels, which we haven't even made the mold yet, so we got to make the mold for it first. But all pre-preg molds, I mean, it costs way more to make, but once you make them, the parts come out perfect every time, and the layup takes way less time. This was a pre-preg mold, just cut big squares, lay it in like a sticker. It's great. Yeah.
So by this being a regular, you can kind of get an idea on the difference.
Yeah, this like shifts diagonally a lot more. I will say that the laying down this first layer of the stabilized stuff, you definitely need to put a couple more. Like I cut way more little. I cut it back shorter, so I wasn't pulling as much, and then I cut a bunch more little like reliefs in it around the perimeter of it, just to help it, because it lays a little more straight. You don't get as much diagonal. Well, just like this is being.
It's stiffer.
You don't get as much diagonal shifting of it. Yeah, it's a bit stiffer, but it held together. Like I cut right into the corners. Like you'll see a slice in the actual corners of the part, but even with me dabbing all the resin into it, it didn't shift or fray any of the fibers at all. So it held together, which is great. And also, like I had the first layer stick to the gel coat, and a lot of times on the corners where it'll stick, it'll pull it up, it'll pull a bunch of runs in all of it. So didn't do that. Already a world of a difference. It's my very first time using it. Learn as we go, but I'm already very happy with this new carbon. I think it'll be the new way to do all of my hand layups. You can already tell, like, see, there's like kind of like a curve, there's a little wobble here, and then there's a curve.
Yeah.
Here. Like when we were making my doors for my 240Z, the driver's door towards the front, there's a big wobble in it because Reed was helping me, our buddy Reed was helping me lay it down back in the day. And I don't know how it happened, but there's like a big wobble like right at the front of the door, which you don't really notice from, you know, being right on it, but
it's the imperfections that make it.
Yeah, that's our first carbon part I ever really made was the roof of that car. So we've come a long way.
Lets you know you're human.
Yeah, all my worst carbon parts are on my own car. That's why we got to make another one. Cool, so we'll let this dry overnight. good enough. Doing a lot of sanding yesterday. As soon as I clamped this, sanded a bunch of fiberglass parts, and you can see everything's covered in dust now. But
You in love with these sparkling waters.
yeah, dog.
Man, got the
LaCroix. This one actually
flavored-
sucks, but yeah.
flavor sparkling water, man. I can't even think.
Yeah,
of what to say.
these. My wife bought like 2 cases of them, and she doesn't like them. And instead of returning them, I'm like, I'll just drink them at the shop. It's fine.
Gotta stay hydrated.
Liquid Death, chainsaw, mango chainsaw, and the buried alive flavors.
No, nothing about these.
The carbon roof, Dunzo, came out great. Like I was saying, I usually would at this point sand them and clear it with a couple coats of clear, so it's like perfect finish. I do that with every single one of our carbon parts, so it doesn't get any UV problems or whatever. So this has like a clear gel coat, but it still has, you know, a tendency, like after years and years, it'll start to yellow out. So putting some clear coat on it, as long as it's like a UV stable clear coat, that'll mitigate all those problems. You won't have any issues at all. But as we said before, this car is going.
Oh yeah.
Bleep out that color. But yeah, so this will get painted. So I'm not gonna go ahead and sand it and clear it and show you guys how that looks because there's no point. But I'm very happy with this stabilized weave carbon fiber.
Looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because like the surface of my mold that I make these off of is not like a mirror polish because I take them all out. It'd be a waste of time to polish the mold, make it perfect, because I go ahead and I sand them right away.
Pretty much
clear
sanding
them.
this, you could tell after you sand it and clear it, it's gonna be good to go.
Yeah, it will be a perfect roof as soon as it's sanded, but
No part comes out the mold ready to go.
Cool. So I mean, we got all the rust repairs fixed. We have our first panel. We're gonna go ahead. Right now, the owner of the car is trying to decide if he's gonna cage it or not. We're trying to get a quote from Josh. We did my cage. So Josh, please come here and weld in a new cage for this guy. But depending on which way the cage stuff goes, we're either gonna be waiting for Josh to do the cage. And if so, we will move on to the quarter panels, or we're gonna go ahead and show you some cage welding stuff. Because now, before the roof is bonded on, is the time to do the cage stuff, for sure. Maybe before we put the floors in too, that would have been a good time to do it too.
Yeah.
It would have been a pain to get the floors in once the cage is in, so to make my life easier, we're good. What's up guys? Today we're gonna show you how to get the perfect finish and protection on your carbon fiber parts. So the biggest problem that we have when we were buffing a car is all the residue that it leaves around. A lot of times it'll leave like white bits. It'll sling on everything. There's a little bit on my 240Z right now. And you'll get pinholes and stuff like that in your parts sometimes. You know, it's your first part, you're just figuring it out, but you want to buff it and make sure it's like nice and shiny. If you buff over a small pinhole, it'll fill it and it'll be bright white and it'll look terrible. So Fiberglass hit me up and said that they're now carrying Pi Boat Composites. It's an Italian company, PAI. And they have a 3-stage buffing system that is black instead of white. So all the white residue and crust that gets left on a buffed part, you don't have to worry about it. You can just wipe it off, and if there's any little residue, it'll just be black. It's perfect. The way that we would start is just like anything else. We have 3 coats of clear on this. You can see it's kind of got like a weird texture, not a weird texture, but it's a little bit of the texture from the weave, and a couple of like dirt specks from our booth. So we're gonna go ahead and sand this with 2000 grit. We're gonna do that just dry. And then we're gonna follow it up by 3000 grit with the water, wet sanding, and then wipe it all down, and then we'll get to buffing.
Mr. Official.
Gotta throw on that apron, bruh.
Man.
Trying to ruin my hoodie, even though my hoodie's black, so.
Probably
This is the mess that it usually creates. Bright white, annoying. So, like I said, it's a 3-stage buffing compound. So, whatever this NW1 plus black, it's stage 1. They should put a 1 on it, but you know, it's fine. It does say max cut, that's what you want. I have the white pad on the buffer. Again, we've sanded to 3000. You could go farther if you wanted, but bloop.
It reminds me of like the mess.
Charcoal toothpaste.
That and like, what's that character name from Spirited Away?
No Face.
Yeah. No Face's gloop.
I might divide this into 4ths, 6ths, we'll see. But I'm gonna hit it once, wipe it down, hit it one more time. So 2 times total on everything, and then we'll go into the next step. Also, don't just blast it right out the gate.
I was literally just about to say, I wonder if he's gonna blast it.
The problem with this panel is it's so light, it just wants to fly around. So I gotta fight that the whole time, but it's fine. Oh my God, that's a little.
Man, you gonna gloop crazy.
Just put that over there, it's fine. Okay, so now we finished up with the first stage, the cutting compound. Now we're moving on to Top Finish 2, black again. Has slightly less cut and more finish. Easy enough to read, right? Get a nice little gloop on there. So it's more like a jelly gray. And we're using the black pad or gray pad instead of the white pad.
Yeah, black is like more polish.
Yeah.
It's actually a good little combo because I did see the bottle had like a small amount of cut,
yeah,
but you wouldn't want to do too
Yeah, and
much.
the final one has like no cut and it's all finish.
Probably just start off with a fresh black pad for that one.
Right. We got a pretty good shine on here from the second step. You could really stop here if you wanted, but we're gonna go third step. This is the Easy Gloss Black. These all sound the same to me, but this one has the least amount of cut and the most amount of finish. That max finish.
Extra fine.
So I'm gonna go ahead, hit this with one coat of this, black pad, same thing as before, and then we'll see the results.
Damn.
Goes on your tube.
Oh. Crazy.
All right, and there we have it. All 3 steps done. It looks really good. Super happy with the finish. And I don't have any little white specks all over me or all over all these cars. So I'm very happy that Fiberglass thought of us and sent this over to us for us to test. You can get it at fiberglass.com. They will start carrying it literally today. We waited for the day they were ready to drop. So it's available today. Go check it out. We'll throw a link in the bio.